Welcome to Keep What You Earn, a show for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to scale and build enterprise value without making costly mistakes. I'm your host, Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CFO and CPA who left a career serving Fortune 50 companies in Wall Street to help business owners just like you make life-changing wealth with your business. These episodes are meant to be super tactical and actionable, but please remember, consult your own financial professional before you implement anything you learn in this podcast. Now, if you'd be interested in working with us to do so, check out the show notes for more information about our company, Keep What You Earn Co. All right, let's start the show. So I get this question a lot from clients and from those who book power sessions, and that's around employee compensation, specifically how to better connect compensation with the behaviors we want our team to exhibit and linking our compensation to the results and to the outcomes that we want. And the best way to do that is to create some type of incentive-based compensation plan. A lot of people go with hourly or salary type compensation. And you can do this. You can do a hybrid, by the way. But what I see a lot of successful businesses doing is they have some form of incentive compensation or performance-based compensation, whether that be a large or a small component of the person's overall pay. As an employee, because I used to have this, I would love getting some type of base salary, but then also feeling connected to my results in a way where I was rewarded for a positive outcome, where I could kind of do a little bit of scorekeeping as an Enneagram 3 and feel like I was achieving a goal and then getting some type of instant gratification for it. I think when you can link someone's behavior and something they can directly influence to some type of monetary reward, that works for a lot of people because it shortens the distance to gratification. And I think that this is so important that you are praising your employees in real time and you are also rewarding your employees financially in real time for when they do a good job. I have been known to give spot bonuses to my team. Like if I know that you're going above and beyond and working over the weekend to get something to a client that is outside of the normal expectation, I will go above and beyond and just drop a bonus in your bank account, like a quick little thank you, literally that day to say thank you for just being a rock star and staying late and doing whatever you had to do because you're committed, right? So you're committed to them. I'm committed to you. That's the best type of relationship I think you want to have, is where you can do that and you're happy to do that. So why do you need to do incentives, or why should you? It's because you can align the behavior you want from your team with some type of business outcome. It will help attract and retain the A players on your team and really help create ownership on your team when it comes to performance, where everybody wins, right? So you get the results that you want, you get the financial outcome you want, and then you can also deliver some type of benefit to them. So how do people actually accomplish this? Well, you can do cash bonuses, just straight financial. And here's the cool thing. You could do it at set frequencies. You could do it project-based. You could do it annual based on a performance review cycle. This is where, you may disagree with me on this. Now, in accounting firms, we always would do these annual performance reviews, annual bonuses, whatever, quarterly performance reviews, annual compensation renegotiation or whatever. And that was mostly because, there were 10,000 plus employees in my office. So, they had to create structure to it. I personally love the idea of having no expectation of when and how those performance bonuses will come in and the increases will happen. I know that well, don't your employees want something predictable? Yes, but here's the thing. I would much rather, instead of having a annual compensation review cycle where I come in and I say, okay, over the past year, you've done XYZ, and then I have to recall events over the past year and kind of culminate with a overall impression. I can tell you, I've been responsible for this both in and out of corporate. And what ends up happening is you get to the end of the year and you think about the most recent events though, because it's the most fresh in your head, the things that have happened in the last few months. So you're going to end up judging them on the last few months and not the whole year. It's just going to happen because of your memory, unless you've really written things down and you still believe they're valid commas. So all that to say, I love the idea of incentive because it's also tied to outcomes, very direct. And it doesn't rely on you having some type of layered judgment or memory or a long time lag between the outcome and some type of reward or compensation. So that's really important to me. So instead of doing an annual, we do a lot more frequent performance reviews. We do quarterly performance discussions, but we do periodic one-on-ones. And I've been known to just drop bonuses here and there or discuss payment increases when I feel like the responsibilities increase and performance increases. Like we don't really increase our performance on a certain cycle. When I feel like someone's growing, I'm willing to have that conversation or have them approach me. So that's my style. Pull from that what you want. But you can do cash bonuses at any point. You make the rules. So you can do whatever you want there. I have this other creative bonus structure, by the way. I toyed with this for a while. I've been doing it for a little bit with a particular employee or two that had them. And I would do these things called just because budgets. And I would give employees a certain amount of money to essentially gift to a client or a fellow employee to say thank you, or to say congratulations, or to say just because I thought of you. And that's been kind of fun. It's not always easy to fulfill on, especially for new people, but it's been a cool idea that we're playing with. The other thing is that along with the cash bonuses, you can offer non-monetary things, or we'll say non-tangible things. Like, you could do flexibility, days off, vacation days, development type stuff, recognition. You could offer some type of like proverbial gold star program, something like that. But the other thing that people love to do is they love to jump right to equity. And this is actually a big piece of why I wanted to share this with you.
Hey, real quick, are you learning anything in this episode that you think is share worthy? Well, if you could take a quick screenshot and share any of your biggest takeaways or quotes from this episode, post it to Instagram and make sure to tag me at Shannon K. Weinstein and at Keep What You Earn. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Let's dive back in.
A lot of people think that they want to create skin in the game for employees. They want to create a sense of ownership. And in doing so, they think that the only way to create a sense of ownership is to literally give away ownership. And that by giving away equity, I will now create an ownership mentality in my employee. That is absolutely false. Let me just tell you that right now. An employee will not magically have an ownership mindset simply by being given stock. Okay. And I'm not knocking your employees, but I'm telling you that most employees are of the mindset, typically, that they are trading time for money, and that's okay, but they're getting paid their paycheck for all the effort they put in. Most of the time, they are not in a position to appreciate the long-term gameplay that is equity. They're more interested in the instant gratification and reward for the behaviors they exhibit today. And in turn, they won't appreciate the equity as much, and you're going to be giving away your equity potentially, if you want to give away equity. And that's a scary thought, to give away equity to somebody who essentially doesn't appreciate it, doesn't really understand it, doesn't understand the value behind it. And then they'll still ask for more compensation because they won't see the value of the equity today. And I'm generalizing, but this is what I've seen time and time again. Owners think that, oh, if I give them equity, they'll feel like an owner and they will somehow come on board with me and think like me. No, they won't. Let me save you the trouble right now and tell you they won't. The solution to that, if you would like them to participate in the business's performance, are a couple of things. You can do performance-based bonuses like I talked about, where you could link the bonuses to something tangible the business accomplishes. Or it could be linked to the profit margin or something else that the business overall can control. Where you want to be careful with that, though, is where the person is getting paid based on a metric that they don't have a ton of influence over. And that's where it gets a little scary for them, is saying like, oh, well, if the business is profitable, we all get this type of bonus. Well, who's in control of the profitability of the business? You are, right? They're probably not. So they may act a little suspicious of you and saying, well, like, we haven't been profitable in 3 quarters. Like, are you fudging the numbers so you don't have to pay us as much? Right? Here's my solution to creating a bit of that mentality or an appreciation for that without having to give away actual equity. There's this thing called phantom equity. Okay. Ask your lawyers, ask your accountants about this if you're interested. Phantom equity is basically like equity, but not equity. Hear me out. You don't have to change your entity structure. You don't have to add shareholders to the cap table. But here's what happens. You basically give them a profit share every year, some type of profit share based on your agreement. It's all, customizable. You give them a profit share. Now you can have like vesting and things like that. You can set the terms. But at the point that you have an exit, they can participate in the exit too, where they get a certain amount of payout at the exit, but they don't own voting shares. They don't get to make decisions. They're not owners in the company truly, but they get to participate and ride the wave of the performance from a profit standpoint and the exit. So they get the benefits of equity without the overcomplication. It's a great tool, but I wouldn't use it a lot. I would definitely have some controls around it and some restrictions on who qualifies for it. Now, what you don't want to do is pull all these ideas I've just shared with you and now overcomplicate your compensation plan. We do not want that. What we do want to do is create the best optimized compensation plan that incentivizes the behaviors you want. So let's think about this way. And here's the key thing. I would not measure multiple different employees in different departments by the same metric. So here's an example. I have a person who works in customer success, and their major metric is customer retention. Okay. So if they work in customer success, their metric is customer retention. We set a goal, basically don't lose a customer, right? Don't lose a client. And every quarter that we don't lose a client, there's essentially a reward system in place for that. Or you could do it for every year. We've maintained 80% retention or whatever your goal is there, right? But customer success probably has a lot more control over retention or conflict resolution or low churn, right? Sales, pretty obvious. You've got your close rates, you've got your sales targets, your quotas, and so on. And then when it comes to operations, it might be a sense of efficiency. How are we measuring efficiency? Like if you're like a lawyer, are we looking at billable time? Are we looking at, downtime from IT? Like how many hours did we spend on downtime? How many hours did we save through XYZ product that we implemented, right? So you have to be looking at what are the different metrics that indicate success for you, and then how can you measure that in a meaningful way, and then reward when those targets are hit. That's really what you want to get to. You want to get to a point where you are striving to do something like that and connecting compensation to real outcomes that move the needle for your business. And the key thing here that I've mentioned is influence. I had a job where I was doing demonstrations of a software product. And what ended up happening was I had compensation that was tied to sales because I was doing the demos for prospective customers. And the salespeople would not always close the deal. Like they wouldn't follow up with the person or something would fall through the cracks. But like the demo could have been rock solid. Like I did everything in my power to close this client and the salesperson dropped the ball. If that happened though, it's my compensation they're gambling with because I was linked to the sale closing. And do I have influence over that? I guess to some degree I have an indirect influence, but even if I did my job to the best extent possible and delivered a killer demo, the salesperson not following up and not delivering a proposal on time and losing pieces of contact information and getting messy, I suffered from that. And the problem was eventually I was undercompensated for what I was doing because my metrics were not linked to something I could influence in a big way. So it's really important that you connect your employees' compensation to something they actually have influence over, or at least they feel like they can influence so that they feel like they're in control of their outcome and their compensation. And you also want to be super clear about terms, especially if you're dealing with equity or phantom equity. Understanding the terms of who qualifies for this, how it works, what you're trying to accomplish with it, and how they would be able to benefit or participate in it. And you want to be as transparent as possible in all of these because you just want to be clear about what outcomes you expect and what you want. And say, as a team, our goal is to achieve XYZ. Let's say it's, 90% customer retention. This is our goal. So guys, if we're able to accomplish that, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here for you. If we're not able to accomplish that, I want to discuss as a team how we can make that happen so we can all win. But it's really all about the transparency of what outcome you want and then getting creative with them and alongside of them to understand what motivates them and what would help everybody win in that situation.
As you think about growing and scaling your business, it's important to focus on how your operating costs align with your profit and personal goals. Are you allocating your resources wisely? Are your expenses supporting growth, or are they holding you back? Building a sustainable and profitable business takes intentional budgeting and regular assessments of where your money's actually going. Now, with a power session, you can get personalized strategies to help your businesses thrive. Check out the show notes for more information on power sessions and how we can work with you to create the profit plan your business needs for a successful 2025.